Hey guys, what is up? Sam or Scorpio here, bringing you guys another video talking about how you guys can easily beat the Voyage of Despair Unsinkable Gauntlet, which did just release today. I have you guys a full strategy. Every challenge will be the same every single run. If you don't know the way this mode works, pretty much it's 30 rounds only. Each of the 30 rounds you'll be given a challenge, which does stay the same every game, and if you fail a challenge you'll be given a strike. 3 strikes and you will totally fail and the game will end. You don't want that. Now the best way to do this I would recommend is solo or at max 2-player. Any more than that, this map, Voyage of Despair, is a very close quarters map and it will get very hectic honestly. So that's probably not a good idea as a way to run it. But yeah, we're just going to go over a class and then each of the challenges with the absolute best strategy on how this can be done. So starting off on your class, with your grenade, obviously Wraithfire is just absolute god tier. This is, why wouldn't you run this? You're going to want a Strife, and I would highly recommend you have the tactical knife attachment on it, the stiletto knife, so make sure you've got this leveled up nice and a lot before you're going into this. In your modifier slot, I would highly recommend Stamina Up as your option. It's just insanely good, to be honest, for this. You know, it's a very close quarters map, you want to be able to escape easily, and that's why I'm recommending that. Then your Ra slot, you want Dying Wish because it's a lifesaver perk. You know how godly Dying Wish is, so why wouldn't you run it? Zeus, you want Victorious Tortoise. This can keep you alive in certain challenges where you're going to be using your shield a lot more than any kind of weapons. And you know, you can just pull it out and it will make you invincible, and then the explosion will throw back zombies, and that's very important. Although it is worth noting that on the rounds where you're limited to certain weapons that aren't the shield, then the shield's throwback attack will do absolutely nothing, so don't be relying on that. And Stamina Up's just generally a good escape strategy, guys, you know, forgetting about the map. Now, on the front of elixirs, I'm mainly going to recommend classics, but I will give you a few tips on some megas if you do want them. So I recommend you run Temporal Gift anywhere but here. I would highly recommend Pop Shocks because there is one where all your weapons will be gone, and this is a great one that you can pop to just save your life. Burnt Out is a good one for kind of, you know, just in case kind of moments. Although if you are in a co-op game, I would highly recommend Nowhere But There. A few epics you might want to run. Swordsplay recently got a buff that made it really good. It will always one-hit kill normal zombies, which, you know, makes it a lot more powerful. Any kind of power-up things could be good, although you don't want to be popping them, sorry, on the ones where you, well, aren't allowed to use them. And Undead Man Walking is, as always, a pretty damn solid option for you. Now, that is every single class item you're going to need to be running, and we're going to start breaking down the Bronze Medal now, which is the first 10 waves. There will be timestamps in the description, guys, if you want to skip to each of the chunks. We're going to have the class set up, the bronze, the silver, and the gold. And yeah, without further ado, get into this. So you will find that the first 10 medals are incredibly easy, honestly. These challenges are not awfully hard. So the first challenge is called Unsinkable, and you just have to survive round 1 without taking any damage. This isn't hard, just melee all the zombies. You want to maximize your points here, and that is very important because there is some strategy things you're going to need to be doing here as you go along. Round 2, equipment kills only. Just train them up, kill them with your Wraithfires, bing bang boom, you'll have no problems doing that. Just try not to waste your Wraithfires because otherwise you're going to have to wait for them to recharge. It's going to be a nightmare. Round 3, melee only. Very simple, that's why you have your stiletto knife on. That will mean that it is a 1-hit melee. Obviously normally on round 3 that'll be a 3-hit. That stiletto knife is going to help you out a lot. Round 4, you need to survive the round with at least 1 perk active. This again is fairly self-explanatory, just buy your Danu perk. At this point you still should be staying inside of that spawn room, honestly. Just buy that perk there in your Danu slot because that is also going to be a very helpful perk with Deadshot just to kind of keep you going. Round 5, you're only allowed to use the Essex Model 07 lever action rifle, which can actually be found as a wall buy on the upper deck of the spawn room. Again, I wouldn't recommend you opening it, but yeah, on that round you can only use that weapon, so that is very important. Then on round 6 is when you're going to have to leave the spawn room and begin to open the map, because in this round you will need to be activating the Sentinel artifact. I would recommend you keep the Essex on you because you will be actually pack-a-punching that later, because we are going to need that multiple times again for more challenges. So you need to make your way all the way to the back of the ship. I'm sure you've played Voyage before, and just activate that artifact. Then into round 7, you're going to need to have built the shield, because at the end, by the end of round 7, before you end that round, you're going to need to have possessed the shield. So just grab your 3 packs. I will link guides for anything I'm referencing in terms of Easter eggs down below to help you out. Not necessarily all will be from me, some will be from some good friends of mine who have made excellent guides on it. And then on round 8, every single purchase will be disabled. Now this is pretty crucial, because I would recommend, by this point I would buy a KN about now, just before going into this round, or maybe a round earlier, honestly, because it's a very powerful weapon, it's in a very convenient location, and make sure you're topped up on ammo going into this, because you won't be able to refill it. Then going on to round 9, you will actually need to obtain a weapon from the mystery box. Now about now, when you've got your special charged up, I would recommend you use it very frequently, because by round 21, that thing's going to need to be tier 3. It has to be. You obviously can't just go do that on round 21. So make sure you're using that as you go along to get it leveled up along the way. Now going on to round 10, you are actually going to need to be defending the cargo hold. So just before you end round 9, I'd say once you've got that mystery box weapon and you've got that wee check mark next to your character icon, run over to the cargo hold and be around that area, and then end the round. And you're going to need to enter the cargo hold, and what you're going to notice is it's actually going to begin to flood. I'd recommend before you do this that you have opened Pack-a-Punch, and maybe Pack-a-Punched a weapon if possible. If not, you can probably make do with just a weapon like the KN, maybe some Wraith Fires, maybe your special weapon, getting that all charged up. But this honestly isn't too bad. It will be filled with water, but there won't be any Blight Fathers or anything like the ritual of this Easter egg. So all round, the first 10 rounds are not too much of a struggle to get through, honestly. This is the easy chunk of the Easter egg where, well, not an Easter egg, just the mode where you really shouldn't be losing any strikes. If you are at this point, I would highly recommend that you do take a restart, honestly. I would also be working as you go along after you get the Stoker's Key in a couple of rounds time. Once you have that, I would highly recommend that you start on the free Kraken Easter egg, but do not, whatever you do, pick it up, because there's a particular point later on that I will point out where you are going to want to pick that up, and it is absolutely going to save your life in a very tough situation. Now without further ado, at this point you actually have got the bronze medal, which means you have unlocked the first calling card, and now we're actually going to go on to the silver, which is where things get into the medium difficulty, where they start to get a bit harder. So going on to your silver challenges, these are going to be your intermediate difficulty, as I've just said a minute ago. So your first up, 11, is going to be not too bad a one. You're going to need to open every single door in the map. You will see in the bottom corner of your screen by the character, when you get onto this round, you should have a counter out of 21. You are going to need to make sure you open every last door in the map by the end of the round, or it will obviously fail it. You're going to need to make sure you have plenty of points saved up by now, and don't be wasting them along the way, because otherwise you will be screwed. On round 12, you'll then need to survive a wave of the crawling dead. This just means every zombie is going to be a crawler. They should have the same amount of health, but they'll be crawlers. This is incredibly easy, honestly. They're really slow. They really, you know, they're not going to get up to you very much and do much damage, so you're not going to have much trouble getting through this. And then going on to round 13 is where a bit of strategy comes in, because you're going to need to possess a repacked weapon at the end of the round. So obviously Pack-a-Punch is going to have to be open, and I would recommend 100% that you make, this is going to sound crazy, your Pack-a-Punch weapon the Essex. Now you're going to need a double pack this obviously to get an ability on it, because that is the challenge, and I would make it the Essex because we are going to need it again in a few rounds time, and you are going to want that to be Pack-a-Punched up, ideally to the max, honestly, because if not, you're going to be having some troubles with that challenge. And then on round 14, you're going to complete the round with 0 perks. Now this won't actually completely take your perks, it'll just take your perks for the duration of that round, and they'll be kind of nullified, they'll do nothing, but then you will get them back going into the next round. So this shouldn't be too much of a difficulty, honestly. Just try and play a bit safe. You shouldn't be relying too much on your perks really at this stage in the game, to be honest. Then round 15, we are coming on to another defense, and that is going to be defend the poop deck. Now this is a surprisingly big area. You have the whole area around the back of the ship where the sentinel artifact is, you know, but you also have down where the shield is. So you do have plenty of space to maneuver, and you just have to stay in that area and continue to kill zombies as you go along. Around this round, you may be seeing a Blight Father, or the round before, so be careful, kill that thing. I'd recommend with your special weapon, which should either be if you're in solo, or co-op really. It should be the scepter, to be honest, because what I said earlier about how much it can save your life, but the hammer is also a solid option for killing zombies. Honestly, it's a far better option for killing zombies, so you just need to kind of strategize a bit, find out what option works best for you personally. And then going on to round 16 is where it gets a bit tough again. This is why I recommended you repack the Essex, because you're going to have to use the lever action rifle only, which is obviously the Essex. Now this is a tough one to only use this weapon because it is an absolutely horrendous weapon. So you're just going to need to train around, do some loops of the ship really as much as possible, and just make sure you're killing everything. By this point I would recommend that you've picked up all your perks, share that Essex 4 times packed ideally. I have actually seen, believe it or not, people do it with only a single pack, which was absolutely mad. I wouldn't recommend that, obviously. Now going on to round 17, it's going to be kill zombies with headshots only, and this is why I run Deadshot, because you'll be able to auto aim to their head. Some of the best weapons for this, honestly, that I found that are particularly good for this step, I'd recommend maybe a Hades, a Zweilander, a Titan, or if not, then a KN or even a Mozu might be a solid shout because of that headshot operator mod that makes it just so good. Round 18 was where I started to have trouble, and now this is where you have to avoid every single power up. Now this is fairly tricky, more tricky than it sounds, because it will spawn more power-ups than it usually would, and you're going to find that you're going to have to be dodging around these to make sure, well, you don't pick them up, because the second you pick one up you will get a strike. And now even after you get a strike, if you spawn back in, there will still be power-ups anywhere. I found in one of my runs, believe it or not, I got a power-up accidentally, I was absolutely gutted, I got my strike, spawned back in, was running around trying to escape zombies, got around the corner, and what do you know? Another power up, and that will be another strike, honestly. So you just have to be very cautious, you've got to be very alert, try to avoid tighter areas where you're more likely to be trapped, you know, with a power up that you just simply can't get away from. And then round 19, damage to players causes points to drain. Now the way this works is every time you get hit or you take damage, you'll lose points, roughly 1,000 by my estimates. And now when you lose points, obviously you'll continue to lose points, but when you have 0 points, you will also be losing health as you go along, obviously, but when you have 0 points, you will die. So you need to make sure that you're avoiding getting hit as much as possible. Make sure, ideally, to have plenty of points stockpiled by this point, just in case. And then round 20, we do have another defense type of event in the engine room, where you're going to need to go down there and you're going to need to survive a Stoker onslaught. Now this is only around 10, so if you've got a decent, not the Essex, you should have another weapon by now, 4 times pack-a-punch weapon, you should be able to kill them fairly easily, even with your special. That will help a lot. That's down in the engine room, you'll need to, you know, stay in that area. Now I would make sure by this point that you do have that free Kraken done and ready to go. Again, I'll link a guide down below on both the free Kraken as well as how the upgrade is done, because I would recommend that you do an upgrade, but when you get your Kraken eventually, when I tell you to, you will not be pack punching it, because there is a point where it's going to take all your packed weapons, and that Kraken, with ideally an ice upgrade if you can actually get it, but an unpack punch version of it, will be absolutely god tier for keeping you alive in those steps. So now we're on to the gold steps. You have got your silver one, which you will have noticed is the exact same calling card, but just with a silver medal instead, which was a bit of a shame, but we're going to go on to the golds. Now this is where it gets tricky. There's some very hard ones in here. I would recommend you listen very closely to the strategies I am going to be giving you, because it's going to be tough. The first one, round 21, every player must possess a special weapon at level 3. Now this is very clear, and this is why you need to have been leveling it up as you go along, because it needs to be at that level 3 so that it's going to be able to absolutely slay at this point. You know, it's going to be very powerful for keeping you and your team alive as well, so it's going to be a Brucey bonus there, but it is also a requirement that, you know, your whole team have one by the end of this round. Then round 22, kill catalyst zombies using the corresponding reactive AAT. Now that's a double pack ability. Now this is where it gets tricky, because you're going to be killing you're going to get a massive catalyst zombies, which are the elemental zombies, and you're going to be killing them with a gun with a particular type of ability that, well, you know, is relevant to theirs, but it's not what you think. It's not as simple as fire equals fire, cryo freeze equals water. There is corresponding things, and each one has its counter, which I will put on screen for you now and explain to you. So electric zombies react to firebomb, so when you see them, you gotta kill them with a firebomb weapon. Water zombies react to kilowatt. Fire react to brain rot. And the gas or acid ones react to cryo freeze. Now, pretty much you're going to need to not only just kill all them, you're just going to need to kill 10 of them. This isn't too bad, and it's not like if you miskill one, the whole thing is going to fail. It's honestly not too bad, guys. This sounds worse than it is, really. Just kill the 10 and you'll be absolutely fine, and you're clear to just keep killing and end the round. I recommend you have 2 guns with 2 different pack abilities. I'd say cryo freeze is an absolute certainty one, because you will get a lot of acid ones and they are the easiest to kill. I guess another solid one, I mean, it's kind of your pick. I would go personally with firebomb for electric, because I did see a few fair of them in my games. And then going on to round 23, once you've completed that round, this is where it gets very tricky, because you'll be reset to your starting weapon. So before you end round 22, there is something very important you're going to need to do. You're going to need to make sure you have a weapon which you have absolutely maxed out, you know, 4 times Pack-a-Punch, and that's ready to go. A good weapon that has a decent amount of ammo and you know you'll be able to survive with. You're also going to need to make sure you have that free Kraken Easter egg ready to go and be picked up. Ideally have, you know, a thing built, you know, so you'll be able to upgrade it. That is also very important to have that ready to go. And now what you're going to need to do before you end round 22 is you're going to need to go and find your Pack-a-Punch machine with that last zombie, and you're going to need to place your good weapon inside of the Pack-a-Punch machine and then end the round with your other weapon, obviously, or a melee. Now at this point, once it will eventually give you your strife weapon back, whilst that weapon is still sitting in the Pack-a-Punch machine, do not pick it back up. Once you're given your strife back, you can pick up that weapon, and believe it or not, you're going to, well, you're going to have your weapon back, which is going to kind of bypass some difficulty here. Honestly, you will also notice that your special weapon is going to, you know, have lost its charge, which is a big thing, obviously. Wraith fires, you're still going to be good on your grenade, so you don't need to worry about that. Both your weapons are going to be gone. But yeah, because you've done that little, you know, I wouldn't call it a cheat, I don't know if it's intentional, but you can do that to save your weapons there. And then I would recommend you go and pick up that Kraken, but you do not want to Pack-a-Punch this Kraken at all through this game, because at round 29, Pack-a-Punch weapons will be disabled, and that Kraken is going to keep you alive. You're also going to want to try and kill a water zombie, or if you can't get that, then any type of elemental zombie. You're going to need to try and kill one, and when you kill it, you're going to need to pick up its item if it drops it, and then you'll be able to go and build the whole upgrade thing down at the workbench, up down underneath the back of the boat. So yeah, it's going to be as simple as that, really. That isn't too bad if you just follow the exact strategy I've laid out for you there. Then on round 24, you replenish health drain with zombie kills. Now what this means is over time you're going to be losing your health a bit, and what you're going to have to do is just every so often and try and keep it up regularly, killing zombies, dealing damage to them constantly, because that's how you will replenish your health in that round. Fun little interesting challenge there, I thought. Then in round 25 you need to defend the full castle with no special weapons. This is basically going to be the entire spawn room area, so you have a decent amount of space to work with here, the whole front of the ship, and you're going to have to do it without using a special weapon, but you're going to have that pack weapon, you're going to have that Kraken, so you are going to be absolutely fine. Then in round 26 is where you have to be fast, because it gives you 2 minutes to finish the whole round of round 26. So you're going to need to be fast here. You're going to be in a fast spawn. I'd recommend either spawn at front or back of the ship and just hammering through zombies with your Kraken or your packed weapon. That is going to be the strategy of the way to go. At times when you're having difficulty throughout this process, just pull out your shield, because you're going to have the victorious tortoise. But I wouldn't recommend it in this round, because you have to be playing so fast, but throughout the game just keep that in mind as a backup that you do have there for you, particularly as well going back to round 23 in that reset to starting weapons thing. It's a great one to have on you there. And then on round 27 we're back to lever action only, the Essex. So right at the end of round 26 you can be quick. You need to buy an Essex, take a fast travel to where Pack-a-Punch is, make sure you're aware of that first, and you're going to need to pack that Essex as many times as you can. if the round starts to start, throw your Wraith Fires down, but get the hell out of there with as many Pack-a-Punches in it as you can possibly get, because, well, you're going to need them. Round 28, your HUD's going to be disabled. This isn't an awfully bad one, honestly. It's just going to be you're not going to be able to see when things are ready, you know? So you've just got to make sure you're very aware of, well, what you've got and what's going to be ready. Occasionally try your special weapon, maybe, if you're in desperate situations, but try to avoid relying on it and rely on your weapons that you have. Then on round 29, you're no longer going to be able to use Pack-a-Punch weapons for that round. This is why we had a Kraken that we didn't Pack-a-Punch, because that weapon is incredibly powerful, and, well, it's not Pack-a-Punch, so you're going to be good, and ideally you're going to have that nice ice elemental effect on it that's going to make it super powerful still against zombies, or fairly powerful anyway. Enough to keep you alive definitely through this round. And then round 30, the grand finale, you're going to need to simply clear the grand staircase. This is just another kind of defense area. Go to the grand staircase and kill absolutely everything that spawns there. You can have a huge mix of specials and stuff, but just kill everything, and then congratulations, you've achieved the gold tier and you have completed this. You'll obviously get your calling card, and if you've done the whole thing with no strikes, then you'll also get a nice wee emblem to go with it as a fun little bonus there. And that, guys, is going to wrap up this strategy guide for how to beat this gauntlet. I hope you guys have enjoyed it and it's something that's helped you out. I've spent a long time on it, obviously, as you can see from the length of the video. Sorry about that, but I wanted to make it as in-depth and detailed as possible for you guys. If you have enjoyed it, make sure to like, comment and subscribe. I'll see you on more Black Ops 4 Zombies videos. Bye!